Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and today we're going to do some more beginner-friendly stuff, I guess. So we're going to work on styling. So mainly be dealing with CSS, with SAS, and possibly we'll be looking at the MaterialUI documentation and trying to work with some of the options that already come with the components. I'd rather work with the options than try to override it, but we may have to just try to override some stuff with our own CSS. If we have to do that, that's okay too. I want to catch everyone up to what I've been working on. I guess the end of yesterday and for this morning. So you can check out my Trello board and see kind of what's moved around. There's a link in the description. But mainly, I have set up a server. So I have a droplet on DigitalOcean. I had talked about going through the setup in a stream, but I decided, well, for one, I already did the exact same setup for our last project, and I streamed that. So anybody who really wants to see that can go back to the last thing I streamed. The other reason is simply because a lot of it is just following documentation and copy and pasting commands. And that's much easier to do without making mistakes if I can focus and not have to worry about talking when I'm doing it. And I was able to get everything set up and in probably 40 minutes or less. So it went really quickly. I was able to focus. So it's all set up. It's running Ubuntu 16.04. Nginx is the reverse proxy, Node, and it's set up with a SSL. And I pointed a domain name to it and set up the SSL. And so that's all ready. The last step is simply to just bring in the repository. I'm just going to use Git for that. So right before the stream started, I was just trying to set up the SSH keys in my GitHub account so that I could just bring the repository right in. So the flow of updating will be, I push from my local machine to GitHub, and then I pull from GitHub into the server, and then rebuild everything, and the updates will be live at that point. Alright, so I'm going to say hey to everybody in the live chat. Got a few of you in there. Alex asks, is there a playlist for these videos? Yes, there is a playlist, and it's called, I don't know what it's called. Let me check. I think it's like maybe Jesse builds a React app live, something like that. I can, if somebody knows, put it in the live chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna look it up on my other screen. I add videos every day to this playlist. You'd think I'd remember what the name of it is. Alright. Playlist. Okay, the playlist is called Jesse Builds a React Project Live. That's the playlist for just this project, Project 2. If you want to see all the videos, including Project 1, the playlist is just live coding with Jesse. At some point, I should probably split them out into 2 different playlists. But for now, that's how they're divided up. So we are on day 29. No, we're on day 30. So there are 29 videos currently in the playlist. This is number 30. We will be finishing this project up pretty soon, assuming there's not a lot of changes whenever this gets reviewed. Okay, so quickly I'm going to go over the changes that I've made. Oops. and then we're going to start into style some things. There's a few things that are really obvious that need styled because they just look a little bit weird, and some other areas where it already looks okay. We're just going to make it look a little bit better. I am going to start my Pomodoro timer. I'd like to get at probably like 2 or 3 sessions in, depending on how many questions we have and how many how many people are in the live chat. So I'd like to get at least 2 sessions in. We'll see how it goes. If you're not familiar with the stream, the way things go is this is just my everyday work that I'm doing. So whatever I need to work on in my normal job as a front-end developer, I work on and I share it all with you. I organize my work normally in Pomodoro sessions, so we do 25-minute code sessions, and then in between we take 5-minute breaks and I answer questions in the live chat. At the end of the stream, I answer all the questions that you all put in the live chat. I welcome any questions and also comments and advice in the live chat as well. Let's see. I think that's my normal. I need to write down like my normal explanation for the channel so I don't forget, and then I can just rattle it off at the beginning. Also, I have a secondary stream on Instagram. So if you're watching on Instagram, you can see my my monitors and all the code at freeCodeCamp on their YouTube channel. So check out that YouTube channel. And this video is titled Styling React Components, and that's Project 2, Day 30. So check that out if you want to see the code. Otherwise, you'll just be seeing my face, which won't be that helpful if you'd like to know more about styling React components. All right, so let's get started. Just really quickly showing what I've done. Mainly my work has been, other than setting up the server, my work has been on this service request form. If you remember, we had a branch that was the file type check branch, and we were doing some work with form validation on that branch. That's now been merged into master. I got it to the point where I thought, it was ready, not perfect, but functional, and so that's merged now into master. So if you're checking out the repository, the link's in the description. The master branch now has everything in it. There are no side branches that are being worked on currently. So here's what I've done, and you can see. So this is what it did look like with the checkboxes. So we had basically these icons. When you clicked it, it just came up with an alert, basically just to say like, hey, it works when you click on this. And we had the checkboxes. Now I've redone the checkboxes so that few improvements. So this was a really big step done by Sebastian, and I just kind of finished it up over here. And that now, depending on what data you pass into the component, you could get an icon. That icon could be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the information icon. And then when you click on it, a modal opens. You can pass in a title, and then you can pass in HTML style, however you want. And currently, this is what we have. So just regular unordered list. I'll show you all the code for this. Also, the checkboxes work. Now we have a separate component though, so we're passing the click event up to the parent component, which is this whole page. So I'll show you how that works. So what I ended up doing was I split. If you remember, our problem was trying to get the checkbox and the icon together and being able to click on it, get different information. So we were just trying to figure out the best way to do that, I think at some point last week. So this is what I came up with. So now, instead of doing all this in the service request form, which is already getting quite large, I just separate it out into another component. So this is called the icon checkbox component. So here's what we're doing. The only state that we're even tracking here is just for the modal. We're leaving the state for the checkbox itself, whether or not it's checked, here in the parent component of serviceRequest.js, because we want all that data, all that form data, to stay in state here, so we can send it. We can read that, we can send it off to our server.js file, and then handle all that form data from there. So that's why I left it here. Otherwise, normally I would handle, component state. I mean, assuming I wasn't, using some other state management technique. But for something basic, I would probably just handle state right here in the component, like I'm doing here. But it makes more sense in this case to do it in the parent component. And I'm not using Redux or anything like that for this. So I usually get people ask, are you using Redux, or why don't you use Redux? So this is a simple enough React project that I didn't really think it needed Redux. I'm also not that great with Redux yet to even be confident in implementing it. But I am trying to learn currently on another project. Okay, so pretty basic. We just have handle dialog open, handle dialog close. Okay, this is nothing different than what we're already doing in this component with our dialog for when you submit the form. So we actually didn't have a handle dialog open because that was handled in the form submission function. So we just added that in. Now down here we have our checkbox, and this is our MaterialUI checkbox. But then, depending on the value for icon, all right, that gets passed in. Let me show you on the right side where we pass this in. You can see this. This is a very large component. All right, yeah, down here, down here. There we go. I think I'm gonna make this a bit bigger, a bit wider here. It'll be a lot easier to read. Okay, so here we go. Here's our icon checkbox component, and you see it's capable of taking in a lot of properties. So we're passing in things for the checkbox, and these are all just normal things that you pass in for the MaterialUI component. The same thing that we're doing right down here. These checkboxes are the old way that we were doing it. Okay, so it's the same thing. The only thing that's even slightly different here is on check we pass the event up right to our handle check here. And then it calls handle input change and passes that event on, right? You see, otherwise, right, all we had to do was on check call handle input change, but now that we've put this into another component, we have to pass that event up. I actually had I spent a lot of time trying to troubleshoot this because I couldn't get it to work, and it turns out I was doing everything right except I was passing in label here instead of name. So it was trying to update the information in state for a component that didn't even exist. I'm sorry, for a checkbox that didn't exist, right? Because the label is uppercase but the name is lowercase. So anyway, that was pretty frustrating. Definitely would have saved like a half an hour of kind of back and forth troubleshooting if I would have just passed in the right prop. So that happens sometimes. So anyway, the checkbox, like I said, other than this, it operates exactly the same. And here's the kind of the new portion. So if this is true, so we have icon here. So basically within our data, I guess I should show the data because that might make a little bit more sense. So here's our data for our checkboxes. So we can pass in a lot more now than we were before. See, before we basically had name, info. You can either put an icon false, like we're doing here, or it'll check, and if the icon data doesn't even exist, it'll automatically pass in false. So I filled this in before I put this check in for that, so but it really doesn't matter. I'll probably end up taking out the icon false just to keep things a little bit shorter in here. But in this case, for that first checkbox, you can see we're passing in the name, the info text. I'm actually not using this now, so I'll get rid of this. This was Sebastian had put this in just kind of more as an example, like, hey, here's where you put in your data. So we do have icon true. Now here's where we have that everything for the modal. So we get pass in the title for the modal, and then for dialog text we put in our HTML. And I have this inside a template literal. That way I don't have to worry about using single or double quotes inside of here. It's just, it's kind of easy. I think I'm only using a single quote. Yeah, so, right here. But potentially I could be using them, in more places. So, if you can use template literal, definitely recommend that if you're going to put a lot of content in there. So you can see this is just regular HTML. Normally I wouldn't want to have like huge blocks of HTML in here, but we're not really going to do this often. In fact, this might be the only checkbox that even gets extra info. So we'll see. Maybe once the people in my department see that this is possible, they might want extra info for some other things as well. But I don't think we'll have anything nearly this big. Otherwise, our data file is going to get huge. Okay, so there's our data, and you can see we're passing that in. So here's the icon. So we have this as an image, and then our source is just going to be our source from the source where the SVG is. So let me go up to the top here and see where we're bringing in that. So we're importing info logo from image info.svg. Alright, so we're pulling that in here, and then we're passing it in props. So we could pass in anything we wanted in terms of a logo. Really, we could bring in a source for an image if we wanted to, I guess. I don't know how great that would look. Probably not that good since we're intending it to be a logo. But and then we are also putting in an alt tag. Currently I think I just have alt hard coded. Let me double check on that. I do. It just says info button. Really, I think we just need an alt, or else React will complain. Either React, or I don't know if it's specific to create React app, but I'm pretty sure that's what was happening before. So I mean, it's a good idea to have alt text anyway. If I get into a situation where I have lots of different logos in here, then I'd probably want to put it in our data file and pass in correct alt text. But right now, the only thing we're going to have are info buttons, so that works. Alright, and that's it to get the logo in. We have some positioning here, but other than that, we have our dialog. So this is our MaterialUI dialog component. And we're just passing in the title. And then here, this is how we can use the HTML. So inside of this dialog component, I have a span, and we're dangerously setting the inner HTML. You can't do that on the actual dialog component itself, because this component ends up outputting several other divs inside of it. So I tried it. It does not work. So you need to put a span inside, and then anything inside here is going to be put in the right place within that modal, within that dialog. So we just have a span here. We're setting the dangerously setting the inner HTML. If we didn't do it like this, then the user would actually see all the HTML tags. When you do this, though, it's a good idea to only do this if you have complete control of the data. You're not going to have like user submitted data in there. But as long as you have control of your data, this is fine, even though it seems dangerous. It's completely fine if you know for sure what's going to be coming through here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's all I've done. Yeah, at least that's all I can remember that I've done since yesterday. So I just need to apply that same thing to this side, and we need to do a bit of styling so that we don't have this huge gap between checkboxes. So we can come back to that styling, but I'd like to work on the home page first, right? Because this is what people are going to see right off the bat. If there's any page I want to spend the most time on in terms of style, it's definitely going to be the home page. It's entirely possible that the majority of people won't see, a lot of these other views. But we know, this looks really plain. I'd like to put in, I have some ideas for what I'd like to put in, so let's just try them out and see. If you all have any ideas for what could make this look a bit less plain. I mean, I like the clean look, but this is almost sterile. It's like beyond clean at this point. So I'd like to add a little bit in, maybe a little bit of color, possibly some icons. We'll see. I don't want to go crazy with the icons. Then it's just kind of hard. You want to try to find different types of icons, but you end up throwing things in there that doesn't make sense. So I'd rather not put in I'd rather not just throw in icons just for something to look at if they don't really mean anything. So first we're just going to try adding in some color and see how that looks. I guess I wonder, trying to get about the screen. This is more like the screen size that's common here at the university. So I'd like to try to keep that in mind as we're styling this. So my monitor is way bigger than the normal screen size of people that work here. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll have to double check the analytics and see what kind of screens we get mostly. I do want to double check the live chat. Let's see. Okay. I just want to remember to check in case, occasionally I'm doing something really wrong and you all let me know about it in the live chat. So didn't want to go too long without at least taking a peek at it. Here's what I'm thinking. I'd like to maybe put a border on the left of each of these titles. And I'd like to mess around with some of the different colors that are available in the university's color palette. And just see how it looks. I'm not, I kind of have an idea in my head of how it will look, but you never know until you really, get it on there and see. Not really sure how it'll look too with the colors, should we do more than one? How many more? Should we alternate? So let's just do it and see what it looks like. So I want to see this div span. Div style padding. Maybe we'll put, I think I'd like to add a class to this. I guess to this span. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do it to this span. Let's see. Let's check out our component, see how this is. We may not be able to easily add a class, but if we just select the first span, I think we should be fine. So let's see. We're using the component for, oops, where's the components? Generic card, that's it. Okay, so we're using the generic card and card header. Is that where we're at? Or is it the title? Okay, so it's in the card title. Okay, I don't want to put it in the style here because like we saw here, this applies. Actually, I should make this a bit bigger. It's easier for you all to see. So if you can see here, that styling is applied to, is it? I believe that's applied to this div. And if I try to put a border on this div, it's going to be bigger than we want. So I want to target that span. Yeah. All right, let's do that. Let's just try to do it in CSS then. Unless, I mean, it's possible that there's a way to target that interior span with MaterialUI, but I'm guessing not, just from what I've seen from the other components that we worked with. So let's go. We have our home.scss file, and let's actually bring out our home component, and name. Home card container. All right, let's see if this will allow us to get that span. There we go. So we have a div. Okay. All right, that should work. I guess I could have just used FlexDiv like I did up here. But if I'm using, what I want to avoid is having these styles spill over into other places where I don't want them. So that's why we added this here. Okay, and I will say, when you're doing styles for React, there are so many ways right now to do it. This is just one of those ways. There are a lot of different ways to do your CSS right in the component. And then in this particular way, we're using SAS, which you certainly don't have to use. So I don't want to make it seem like this is the way to do it. This is just one way to do it. And in fact, we did it very differently on the last project. So if you want to see an alternative, you could check that out. But we just, we happen to be doing it this way on this project. I have not made up my mind as to what way I like the best, so I'm still kind of trying different things out. And hopefully at some point I'll settle on some consistent way of doing it, but I'm not there yet. Okay, and let's go with span. For now, we can just target the span, because the other span right now has a height of 0 pixels. So, I mean, we'll see in a second, but it shouldn't do anything if we put a border on that. So let's go border left, and we want solid Let's try 2 pixels. We may have to go 3, but I want to see what 2 looks like first. And then I don't know what color I want to try first. I'm going to grab, let's grab this color. And I need to set up, my SAS right now is not set up. It's not taking advantage of a lot of things that SAS can do, and it should be. Just haven't really taken the time to get everything set up properly yet. You know, normally we would want to be importing all our variables into our SAS files so that we could use those variables. So, you know, for sure our color variables, you know, our color palette, we want to have them be all variables, but you know, probably some other things as well. All right, yeah, that's terrible. I don't like that. Okay, here's what we need to do. All right, so this definitely needs to be more than 2 pixels. I'm gonna go 3 pixels right now, and yeah, I don't like that. All right, let's try this out. So let's decrease our line height. We're going to make our line height the same as our font size. Now that brings this, kind of shrinks it up a little bit too much, but let's see, line height. Okay, so that's inline. So we're going to have to use important line heights. We're going to have to use important to override those inline styles. You do want to be careful when you use important, though. Because obviously it's going to be more difficult if you're basically undoing the cascading nature of cascading style sheets when you use something like this. So you don't want to use it all the time, but in this case this is just so much easier than trying to dig into the components and figure out. I just really don't want to edit the MaterialUI components directly. I'd rather try to do things on top of that. And we want to add in some padding left of, let's try 4 pixels and see how that looks. Okay. All right, yeah, I like that. 4 pixels. And we want margin. We want a margin on the bottom and the top of, let's go with 8 pixels, and then we want 0 on the sides. Okay, yeah, that gives us back to the same spacing that we had originally, or at least pretty close to it. Now I think I'd like to have our text lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, we'll keep our 8 pixels on top, we'll go 0 on the right, and then we'll do 8 pixels on the bottom, and then on the left I'm going to go with negative. Let's see, we're doing padding left 4 pixels. Let's go negative. 8's probably gonna be too much. We'll try it first just to start. Okay, that's not bad. It's pretty close. Is that lined up exactly? Yeah, I think 7 is better, right? That makes sense because we've added a 4 pixel padding left, and then we have a 3 pixel border. So 7 pixels puts us back where you were. That way we have our text lined up. I think that looks a bit nicer. Let me know what you think, though. Okay, so we have this, and did we put our padding in already? I think I'm going to copy both of these. There we go. And we're gonna have to use, did I add these? I don't think we'll have to use important because I think I added these both in. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to save that. Yep. All right. So it did work. So now we have a little bit of color. I don't really know if I like it or not. Let's see. My timer did go off a few minutes ago, and I just wanted to finish that up so we had something to look at. I'm going to take a short break now and go to the live chat and see what you all think. And also, if there's any questions, I'll try to answer as many as I can in this 5 minutes. Let's see. Okay, so John Hansen says, I believe most React components work best passing down function rather than passing up. Is this true? JavaScript can suffer from bubbling. Can this happen in React too? Yeah, I guess I think this question probably came when we were going over the icon checkbox and passing this up. So basically, yeah, normally you do want to pass things down from parent to child in React, but sometimes you have to, in certain situations like this one, you do have a child component and it needs to let the parent component know what's happening. Normally, I've only had this situation happen where I have inputs that are in child components and I need to let the parent component know if something is changed with that input. So there are probably other situations where you'd want to, but I haven't dealt with them. Yeah, probably inputs are the main thing. So in that case, I think I haven't found any negative, let's see, side effects from doing it like that. Not to say that they don't exist, I just haven't encountered them yet. Let's go on. Praveen asks, what is React learning curve? I mean, how much time will it take for basic JavaScript developer, AngularJS noob developer to learn React.js and React Native? It's hard to say how much time, really, because that depends. I mean, it depends on how much time you have to dedicate to it every day, dedicate to learning it, and how quick of a learner you are, and how much you already know. So it's really, it would be hard to say. I can only speak for myself. I started working with React, I want to say it's been less than a year since I've been working with React. So it took me, it took me probably a few months before I actually launched a React site for a client. Before that, you know, I'd just done some things just to learn, really. I didn't have all day to dedicate to it. I was working on other projects that weren't, you know, where I wasn't using React. So I would say if you could dedicate, let's say you could dedicate all your time to it, you could get pretty good with React in a month or less. You know, I'm talking like full-time learning, you know, building things. Otherwise, if you're working a full-time job, you know, you have those projects, you know, I'd say a couple of months. But like I said, it's really hard to say. It's kind of an individual thing. There's a lot of factors that would go into that. Some guy has responded to that question. Learn JavaScript first, at least the basics up to objects, then go through EX6, then start learning concepts of React, mainly components. Yeah, so I mean, you're definitely going to need to know some JavaScript to be able to know React. You don't need to be an expert in JavaScript, though. Certainly, your JavaScript skills will get better as you learn React as well. So if you did want to jump into React, it's probably fine. You know, if you have limited knowledge of JavaScript, it'll just be harder to get through React. But you know, eventually your skills they'll have to get better if you want to be good at React. Praveen asks, is ES6 necessary to learn React? I don't know if it's absolutely necessary to know all of ES6, but ES6 will help make things easier. I mean, even just the syntactic sugar part of ES6 will make things easier. But yeah, I would say it's not like there's that much to ES6 or ES 2015, whatever. I read a comment to a blog post earlier where somebody was so mad that someone said ES8 instead of ES 2017. So I don't want to make anybody mad. Officially, I think we're going with the ES 2015, 16, 17. But in any case, yeah, you can get started with React without great knowledge of ES6, but your life will be easier if you learn it. And then Praveen says, can you suggest some links or references to learn? And let's see. Some suggestions were Code Yeah, I've done their React stuff. That's good. Udacity has a React course. It's paid though, so it depends on your budget for for learning materials for React. If you want to stick with the free stuff though, Codecademy is good. And then I mean, there's so many YouTube videos that could be helpful. I'm trying to think. Learn Code Academy is a YouTube channel that has a lot of good videos and has some series on React. Actually, earlier today, I was just watching a video on Redux on that channel. I think Will Stern is the guy that does all the videos on that channel. So you can check that out. The React tutorials on that channel are a little bit older, so there might be some updates to the way things are done, but the overall concepts are still the same in React. So those would be, just off the top of my head, that's probably one of the best channels that I've personally watched for React stuff on YouTube. And then certainly, these streams, you'll pick up a lot about React on these streams, but these, it's not really a tutorial. So there'll be a lot of gaps. Like, this is not a systematic way of learning React. It's just you get to see what I happen to be doing at 2 p.m. every day. Okay. Alright, my timer did go off. So I'm not through the chat, so I'm going to have to come back to that. So if I didn't get to your question yet, don't worry. I'll get to it in our next break or towards the end of the stream. And if you can't stick around for the live stream to get the answer, you can always check out the recording that's available on the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel later on. And then you'll be able to hear the answer there. Let's see. All right, let's reset this, do another 25-minute session. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and see if anyone had any comments on the styles. Okay. All right, so John Hansen is not a fan of the border on the left. Okay, I don't think I had anybody else. So if anybody else has an opinion on this, let me know. Like I said, after I saw it, I don't hate it, but I'm not sure that this is exactly what we need here. I mean, I think Maybe it's better than nothing. I guess part of the thing that is bothering me about this too is that we have this one card that's the title is going down onto 2 lines. There's not really anything we can do about that. I mean, we could try. You know, I would like to try. I think I want this text, this "How can Marcom help you" text, to be permanently closer to the top, and then have these centered. So basically, right now, this is vertically centered, but the entire div is vertically centered, including this. So what happens is all of this appears to not be centered. It appears to be towards the bottom more. So what I'd like to do is take this out of that div so this isn't taken into consideration for the centering, and then have these come up a little bit. I think depending on the screen size, it's not going to be that big of a difference, but I do think it'll help. It'll help out. Blank space on the bottom is not as big of a deal as blank space on the top. When there's blank space on the top, it really, I think, feels like there's something missing. But the bottom of the page is, you know, it's just the bottom, right? It's not as big of a deal. At least, I don't know. At least in my mind, that's how it seems to me. So let's do that. I want to do that for sure, and then we can think more about what we're going to do in terms of color in here. John says, how about a 4-pixel top border on each card with the same color? Okay, so we could do, yeah, I guess we could try that. So we'll try that too. Let me get rid of this because I know for sure that I want to kind of mess with this vertical centering a bit, and then we'll try that border on the top. So John, just to be clear, are we talking like a border that stretches completely across the card? I think that would look the best. So I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. Okay, John also says, don't take the heading out of the div, just add padding to the bottom to center it better. Alright, let's see. Let me see what I'm talking about. Let's we'll make this bigger just to kind of exaggerate the issue as well, so that we can see what's going on here. I'm wondering, would it look... See, because in this case, it's really obvious, you know, if we had this so that it was always up at the top, you know, there's a huge difference here. I'm kind of wondering if maybe it was a mistake to vertically center this. Maybe it would be better if this was just, you know, at the top. I don't know. Let me know what you all think about that. Because originally we did not have this vertically centered. And like I said, it's not as big of a deal on a smaller screen. But when you end up getting, you know, the larger sizes, it's just, there's just so much space up here. I don't know that looks right. All right, so we'll try a few things and see what looks best. Okay, so here's our feline wrapper. Actually, let's take this out and see what it would look like. That'll be the easiest thing to check. So here's what it looks like without being vertically centered. Okay, I like, I think this looks good, and it looks like at least a few of you agree. Much better. Okay, great. Yeah, I agree. I think that does look a lot better. I can't remember what we were thinking originally with that vertical center. I mean, it was cool when we did it. At least it was a nice demonstration of how to do a vertical center with Flexbox. But yeah, definitely looks better. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Now let's try out that top border. Actually, I didn't think about this either, but we could potentially do a border on the side that takes up the entire height of the card. So what do you think? I'll try them both. We'll try a top border, and then we'll also try the side border. Maybe I'll do it on two different cards here so we can see it side by side. Okay. Maybe I can just do it right here in DevTools. I could probably just copy this, edit it a bit. Okay, so here's our left border, and let's do the same thing over here, but we're gonna do border top, and we'll make this 4 as well. Okay, all right, so what do you all think? On the side, on the top, or I definitely don't think bottom would look good, but we could try on the right as well. Okay. Oh, Zachary asked if I'm feeling better. I don't know. I feel kind of the same. So if you watched the last show, I was not feeling well. So still about the same. My throat hurts a little bit less than it did though, so that's good. But I'm a little bit congested, so I don't know if I'm getting better or it's just transitioning into something different. But I'm still just tired. That's the worst thing, is like I feel like I have no energy, but I'm starting to get some of my focus back. I feel like today, the last like 2 weeks, I just feel like my work has not been great. I don't know if it's been evident in the streams or not, but it just feels, I don't know. I feel like I'm not doing good work. Like I'm having trouble focusing on my work, and so anyway, today I finally like really made an effort to really try to focus and like work through the tiredness, and I think I did a decent job on that logo checkbox component, and work through some bugs and stuff, and so hopefully this is the start of me getting back into it. But just tired and just lack of motivation that's what's bothering me the most. Anyway, thanks for asking, Zachary. Sorry for the big explanation. I know you all may not have wanted that much information, but I wanted to give everybody a chance to weigh in on these anyway, so it was a good point, a good time to talk a bit. All right, so I'm going to check out what everyone said. Okay, so it looks like left side, lean towards left side, left side, left side, left side. Okay, so, oh man. So we did have a bunch of votes for on the left, on the side. Now we have some for the top. Someone did say, so Lars said, make it add the left border when you mouse over. All right. So we don't really have consensus here. Here's what I'm going to do. I think it might be better if we saw what it would look like if all of them had the border. So we'll try. I'll do all of them with the top border. I'll take a screenshot. We'll do all with the border on the side, and then we can look at them side by side. That might give us a better idea, since we're kind of torn right now. So let's take this for now, and okay. So for now, let's get rid of this, and instead, let me check. Okay, so try this one first. Oops. And I'll get rid of this. Oops. Was that it? Border left. We'll get rid of that one. Okay, so let me screenshot this. Oops. Let me make sure that worked. I don't think it did. Man, I can't remember. I'll just do one of these then. I can't remember how to do a just a regular screenshot on a Mac. This one is going to copy it to my clipboard. How do I do it? Dang it. Alright, somebody help me out. On a Mac, what's the shortcut to do a screenshot that will automatically save to my desktop? I always just use the one where it's copied to clipboard. That's the Command Control Shift 4. Is it 3? Oh, okay, there we go. Now I heard the little click. Command Shift 3. All right. Now where'd this save to? I think this is it. All right, great. Okay, so now we'll change it. Oops. No, okay. So, not exactly equivalent here. Okay, what do you think? Top or side? Now that we can see them side by side. Also, I'm not opposed to some sort of hover effect. So, I'm I mean, obviously we already have, I don't want to overdo it, right? We already have a hover effect going on here. So if we were to add anything else having to do with this border, it would need to be subtle. Alright, so I'll give everybody maybe like 20 seconds more to let me know what you all think. Okay, it looks like. All right, we have a lot of votes for left now. We definitely have one for top. We have an undecided. Patrick says we could maybe change the border color on hover. Yeah, I think that's definitely. I definitely want to see how it looks. I'm not sure. I'm trying to picture it in my head. I'm not sure if it'll work or not, but I think it's worth a try. I think we're gonna go with the left then. It seems like it's, now that we've seen them side by side, it seems like it's pretty almost unanimous. Oh my goodness, I keep my Slack channel for work is just going crazy. I keep hearing the noise that I've got a new message. So I don't think, I keep glancing at it. It's nothing that I need to respond to right now, but it's a little bit distracting. All right, so let's go with this. I do want to check. Let's see about changing the color. Also, yeah, we'll see about changing the color, and then we'll see, you know, is this enough to make the page not quite so plain, you know, not so stark. So I'm still thinking about it. Now that I see this, I wonder if I should get rid of the border radius on this side, if that would look nicer. I know cards normally are supposed to have a 2-pixel border radius in material design, but with this border on the side, I don't know that I like it being slightly rounded. I mean, that, maybe I'm worrying too much about that, but let's try that. Let's try getting rid of the border radius on this side with the border, and then also doing a change of color on hover. Border radius top left. Oops, I wanted bottom. And oh shoot, how does it do that? Is it in hover? There we go. Let's try. I don't know if I have any of the other colors. we'll put this color in for now, just to see. I may want to go with a different color. There are a few. There's a dark blue and a light blue that's in the cool color palette for the university, which is generally what I like to use for websites. We have a warm color palette that has some reds in there, but I'm not crazy about how it looks on a screen. It's definitely better for print materials. All right, let's try this out. Oh, I guess I don't get the auto reload. I bet you that I have to do. All right, so that works, but I think for this I'll probably have to do important. So I'm not even gonna check. I'm just gonna do it since we're just testing this out anyway. There we go. Okay, so we can see the difference. Well, I guess that's on the top. Okay, so I guess two things. One, what do you think about the color, the change of color? And the second thing is, what about the border radius? I mean, is it even noticeable? Let's I'm gonna get rid of that here and just try it. Try to just do it on one in DevTools. Okay, so now we can see, I guess, better the difference. So the top one has no border radius for this side, and then this bottom one has the normal 2-pixel border radius. I don't know. I want to know what you all think. For me, now that I look at this, I don't think it looks right. It almost seems like this is now not part of the card, especially around the edges. Like it just looks. I don't know. It looks like it's just added. Like this definitely looks like it's within the card here. I don't know. What do y'all think? Use the green. Did I use the green? Hold on. Yeah, I did. Okay. This it's probably just some type of weird thing going on with my eyes when the transition from the yellow, but this looks blue to me when I hover over it. Like this obviously looks green, but for some reason this border is looking blue. Alright, so John's saying keep the border radius. Okay. Alright, John's saying the border color needs to be a bit softer. So I'm assuming you mean like this yellow. And so it seems like we're going to, so we're not going to change the border radius, and okay, and then we're probably going to soften this color, or we could try different colors. I need to bring in the some of the colors from the like the blues and stuff, and see if one of those looks good here as well. I mean, normally this yellow ends up being like the accent color anyway, but I have used some of the blues before, and especially the dark blue is nice. I've used it before, and it's pretty nice occasionally to use. It's just not really recognizable as a color for our university, even though it is in the color palette. It's not often used. But that was the end of my Pomodoro session. So I'm going to do another 5 minutes to go back to the live chat. I'm going to scroll back up to where I left off on our last break and go through and just answer some more questions. So I'm scrolling all the way up to where the timestamp is 2:27 p.m. for me. It'll be different depending on your time zone, but that's Eastern time, 2:27 p.m. Okay. Sagar says, by the way, great work all at FreeCodeCamp. Thank you. I appreciate that. And at least thanks for the little bit that I'm doing. Thanks for saying that. I know there's a lot of people. A lot of people doing work for FreeCodeCamp, and a lot of people that you never even hear about or don't know about. Definitely just a ton of volunteers making it happen. Everything that FreeCodeCamp does, the YouTube channel, the website, the blogs, the forum, a lot of volunteers behind all that. Oh, Praveen mentioned YouTube's new dark theme. Yeah, I think the dark theme for YouTube is really cool. So I just wanted to read that comment out. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the settings on YouTube and try the dark theme. I think I like dark themes for pretty much everything. So I was really excited when that came out. Zuno says, greetings from Costa Rica. Welcome. Thanks for watching. Capil says, styled components is quite nice library for creating beautiful React components. Yeah, definitely. I think before, I was saying there's lots of different ways to style React components. That's definitely one of the ways that I've seen, and like I said, I like to try more of them out before I decide which one I want to stick with mainly. No Beer says hi from Bangladesh. Hey, welcome. Thanks for watching. Daniel says, hi Jesse and guys from Romania. Hey Daniel, welcome. No Beer says, hi, I'm new here. Welcome. Really glad that you're watching. Thank you, and thanks for letting us know that you're here in the live chat. Feel free to contribute or ask any questions, and try to give you the best answers that I can. And there's a lot of other really knowledgeable people here in the live chat that can definitely give you some great answers. Some guy asks, are you using Bootstrap for mobile responsive? No, I'm not using Bootstrap. I'm using MaterialUI. So I guess it's not exactly the same as Bootstrap, since MaterialUI comes with these pre-made React components, but it's the same concept in the sense that there's a lot of styling things that are already there. Although now that I think about it, in terms of the responsiveness, right, some of that we did borrow from a framework called MaterializeCSS. So, which is very much like Bootstrap. So essentially, Materialize is a material design CSS framework that does all the same things that Bootstrap does, but just in the material design style. So we did borrow the mainly we borrowed their column class system to help, you know, with the different screen sizes and kind of stacking the columns and things, and we borrowed a few other things. So so that's how we're handling responsiveness right now. All right, timer just is up. So last one. Cirky Gaming says, I started freeCodeCamp about 5 days ago and got to the tribute page, but it seems like hardly any of the things I learned stuck. Would you say that's normal, or is there other things I can do? Let's see. Lars responds to that. It's normal. Just jump back and look over things. Go search on the web if you can't do things you want to do. Ask in the Gitter channel if you're really stuck. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes things just don't stick. The only way to really have things stick in your head is repetition, I've found. And I don't mean in the sense of like getting flashcards and memorizing like commands, but just actually building things. Like day in, day out, you know, building things with whatever you're trying to learn. A little bit every day is much better than, you know, like 12 hours one day and then nothing for 2 weeks, right? So if you were to spread that out and just do, you know, an hour or so every day, you're definitely going to get more out of that. It's going to stay fresh in your brain, and, you know, you will remember that. So, all right, let's go. Let me check the time. Okay. What do you... I'm trying to decide whether we should do another session or whether I should go to questions now. We're already at about an hour and 20 minutes for the video. If I do another session, it's definitely going to be a 2-hour video for sure. I will... My throat is... I can feel my throat just getting more sore as this goes on and I keep talking. Ah, man. Let me see how much we have left in the chat. I'm only about halfway through right now. All right. So I think I'm not gonna do another Pomodoro session. We only got 2 in, but I think at this point I'd rather end now and save my voice so that I can do sessions for the next 2 days. Than try to overdo it and lose my voice. So at least we got through the homepage, which, as I said, I think the homepage is the most important to get styling right. This is the first thing people are going to see, and they're going to make a judgment on the site based on this. So I don't know. I think this looks a lot better from what we had just an hour ago. Definitely got a lot of good advice from you all, so thanks. And I'm definitely going to mess around with the colors a bit and see what color combinations might work. And then you know, tomorrow we can check it out and review you know, which colors look the best. But for now, so I'm going to stop the code portion and I'm going to go to the question and answer session. So if you're just here for the code and you can't stick around for the question and answer session, thank you so much for watching. And I'll be back tomorrow, so you know, come back if you can. And otherwise, if you can stick around, you have a few more minutes. And if you have a question, please put that in the live chat now. I'll do my best to answer it. And any type of question, don't worry if you think it's like a noob question or anything. You know, don't worry about that. You know, I definitely want to be as welcoming as possible to people who are new and help you out any way that I can. If you don't really have a question, I appreciate you sticking around and helping to answer questions in the live chat, you know, if you can, if you have the time. So, like I said, I'm about halfway through the live chat now, so I'm just going to keep on going down and try to answer things. Once we get through all the questions, then I'll be finished with the stream. So I'm thinking, we'll see, probably streaming for at least another 10 minutes. kind of based on how much is left in the live chat. But we'll see. Sometimes I talk for a while, so we'll see. Definitely want to keep this below 2 hours though, just because I'm pretty tired. All right, Shine asks, what is better, React or Vue in the future? Well, I mean, I don't really know about what's going to happen with them in the future. And I'll say I don't think I can answer that question properly because I haven't used Vue yet. I certainly have seen, people who are well respected in the industry, I guess, and they really like Vue and they use it. So I'm assuming that there's some really good things about Vue, but I don't really know enough to do a comparison about it. But in terms of React, the only thing going against React right now that I see is like a serious thing that could threaten how widely it's used is the whole license thing. There's a lot of people that are freaking out over the license, and I don't really know how many people, but based on what's going on Twitter, it seems like a lot of people are. Now I know Twitter is just a small portion of all the people in the world and all the developers, so maybe it's not as big of a deal as it seems like on Twitter. But other than that, it seems like React is pretty strong. There's more and more people developing with React. If you look at like the trends, just in terms of like Google search trends and things, or the number of jobs that are asking for React developers, it's going strong. It's still on the trend upwards. So I'm not really worried about React going anywhere anytime soon. Also, I think there's a lot of opportunity in terms of React Native and being able to use React for VR stuff. I think that's really cool, and potentially, like, depending on how quickly VR grows, React could grow right along with that. I don't know. There's just a lot of what ifs there, but I think you're probably either way with React or Vue. You got at least a few more years before you'd have to think about learning something different. Oh, okay. You know what? I didn't notice this before, but Omar had mentioned when we were doing these boxes to expand the boxes, and it would be better. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, potentially. I mean, obviously on a smaller screen, right there, the boxes are fine, but on a large screen, there is quite a lot of space. Maybe I should think about expanding them. Maybe adding some sort of at a certain breakpoint. Just having a minimum height and width. I'll have to mess with that a little bit and see what works, if that looks a little bit better than all this blank space. So thanks for that suggestion, Omar. Okay, Ariel says, thing is, mouse over already adds a shadow effect. So we were talking about the shadow. Yeah, I agree there. We do already have that shadow effect, which is why I'm still not 100% sure even about the color change thing. I'm not totally against it, but I just wonder, is it necessary since we already have the shadow, getting the shadow increasing on hover. I'm not really a big fan of doing too much on hover. So we'll have to, yeah, I'll have to think about it. I mean, one bonus is if I decide not to do the color change thing, then that's one less color I have to worry about picking. So it simplifies it a bit if we do that. I mean, in terms of code, it's trivial to add that effect. It's just one line, but in terms of thinking about the best color combination for that, that's what takes a while. That's what I'll second guess. Okay, now I see a lot of people help me out with the shortcut for screenshotting on a Mac. So thanks everyone who answered that. Sorry, I just totally forgot that shortcut. That happens sometimes, I guess. Okay, scrolling through. Actually, a lot of the stuff in the live chat was based on just kind of what we were doing here, so that's why I'm skipping over a lot of it because we've already talked about it. Somebody put a hex code in. I want to see what the hex code is, so I'm just I'm gonna put it in here. Let's just pop it in the background and see what it is. Okay. I like that green color. I can't use it here because I'm really kind of limited to the official color palette for the university, but that's a really nice color. Anyway, thanks. Who did that? Pavel, thanks for thanks for putting that hex color in. I kind of really, it's like a nice like chill color green. Anyway, just wanted to check it out. We're not going to use that, but I do like it. Get Scene says, talk about sanitizing user inputs once you style them with styled components. I guess, did we do... I don't think we've done anything on a stream about sanitizing inputs, so maybe there's not going to be a lot of streams left before this project's finished, but maybe I'll think about talking about that more on an upcoming stream. One thing we don't, because we don't have a database for this, I'm not super worried about sanitizing inputs in terms of like I don't have to worry about something like SQL injection or something like that. So I mean I don't want to just allow anything, so but it's not, there's no danger of something weird happening with the database, but anyway, that's if I can, in the few streams that we'll have left for this project, I'll definitely talk about sanitizing user inputs. Gufron says, sometimes using material design looks too generic for me. No offense. Yeah, that's the I think that's kind of what's happening with material design. I don't completely disagree. So I still like material design, and I'm still going to continue to use it. I think there's a lot of good reasons to use material design. One of the main ones being there's just really common patterns, design patterns in material design that a lot of people are familiar with now because of how widely it's used. And I think there's a real benefit to that, so that a user coming to your site or to your app would immediately be familiar with how the navigation works, what certain icons mean. Not everybody will, but there's a good chance that a decent portion of your audience will already be familiar with that. And that, to me, is a really big benefit. So I agree that sometimes it just looks generic, and that really is, it's because it's used so widely. It's just not, you see it everywhere now. So I like how clean it can look. I mean, that's really nice. But I agree to some extent that it's not, I wouldn't use it if I was trying to win a design contest or something like that. If I was doing some project on the side where I could be as creative as I wanted to be, I would not use it. But if I'm designing something in user experience, in terms of just usability, ease of use was the main focus, and design aesthetics were still important but not the main focus, then I'm definitely going to use material design. So anyway, that's my opinion on it. I'm certainly open to hearing more one way or the other about it, but in a sense, I don't use material design necessarily because of the look of it itself. There's definitely other benefits that it brings to the table, more so than just the look. John said, gargle with warm salt water, one of the best things for a sore throat. Thanks for telling me that. I'll definitely have to do that. I always forget. I know that helps, but for some reason I always forget to do it. I'll have to remember to do that. Pavel says, thanks for the stream. Oh, you're welcome, Pavel. Thanks for watching and joining in the live chat. Pavel also says, my first time, but I would like to continue these sessions. Awesome. No Beer says, me too. Yeah, so that's really awesome that it's your first time for both of you, and I'm really glad that you want to continue on with the sessions. So definitely, if you can make it for the live streams, that's really awesome, because then we get to interact in real time. But if you can't, you can always check out the recordings. One of the benefits of watching the recordings too is that you can watch it at a faster speed and get through it more quickly. I listened to, I had heard some of you say that you had listened to it at kind of a faster speed, and I tried it over the weekend, listening to one of my streams at 2 times speed, and I actually like it a lot better at 2 times speed. I think I sound like I know what I'm talking about a lot more, just because I'm saying it all faster, and it looks like I'm typing faster too. So it definitely makes me look better at 2 times speed. So if you can't catch the live stream, check that out. Antonio says, see you, follow you in Twitter. Best regards. Awesome. Well, you're probably not here since you said see ya. But anyway, in case you are here, you see the recording. I appreciate you watching, and definitely I hope you can come back for some more live streams soon. No Beer says, I agree, this color is so soft and looks nice. Yeah, isn't it? I like I don't know what it is about this color, but I'm really liking this color. Anyway, all right. So I'm at the end of the live chat, and I still have my voice, so that's good. But I think I need to get a cup of tea or something now for my throat. But thank you so much for joining in the live chat. I really appreciate it. You all were so helpful, especially when I do things like this and try to add some design elements that kind of go a little bit beyond just the general material design specifications. It's so nice to have all of you be able to take a look at it and let me know what you think. It's really nice. I appreciate all your input. I really respect your opinions on this, and so it's really awesome when we get to collaborate on something like this. So I think the end result is just way better than it would ever be if it was just me doing it. Anyway, so Blake and Michelle said thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching and for being in the live chat. And all right, so I'm gonna wrap things up now. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow, probably at the same time. And yeah, have a great day.